It is campaign season, and even more than that, early voting has begun. Early voting started today, and the election is on the 18th. That's Super Tuesday. And I've got with me right here in studio, Doc Rohan. He's running for Panama City mayor, and you probably know Doc Rohan. Doc, thanks for being in studio with me.
Well, thank you very much, Bernie. I enjoyed being here and enjoyed meeting you just recently. I've heard you on the radio a long time, but
right.
Got to see you in person, and you got quite an outfit here.
Welcome to the Liberty Lounge.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And let everybody know how long you've been here and what you did for a living.
I have been here in Panama City for in the neighborhood of just shy of 50 years. I actually did my orthopedic training in Kansas, and then I moved back to Panama City here, started an orthopedic surgery practice in 1978, and I've been here ever since. My wife and I and our 5 children, we've enjoyed the heck out of this area, and I just retired from active surgery 3 years ago and got very interested in politics. I've been interested in politics all along, but as a retiree, I had more time to be interested in politics. And I've been watching our city commission and watching the mayor in particular. And I find that there's just a tremendous element of transparency that's missing here. We're just missing things. I'm a very conservative person, and I believe the hierarchy of our elected officials here in Panama City leans kind of heavy towards the liberals side of the aisle, and they're spending a lot of money. They're spending more money than I think we need to be spending, and to make up for those shortfalls, they're increasing our taxes. So a lot of
that's a double whammy.
A lot of elements are out on the table, and what I want to do is I want to try to make it better. I want to make it better for all the citizens of Panama City.
Let's talk. The audience may not know this, and I was mentioning it to you. You're an orthopedic surgeon. I was in the orthopedic field for 8 years in Southern California, and I told you I provided the cold therapy devices and the CPM machines to, I guess I don't know if they use those anymore. This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
No, those are very much in vogue. As a matter of fact, if you got some extra money, buy a CPM machine and see if you can rent it out, because 2 or 3 patients will pay for the thing. But no, the CPM, cold packs, everything, we're still using those. And they're actually a great addition to the role of the surgeon. They help relieve pain and swelling, and really help the patients get better a lot faster.
It's a big deal. I remember when I did that, I couldn't believe when a patient goes in. I have two friends who just had a total knee replacement, and to see the difficulty they had before and then the quality of life afterward is amazing. The lack of pain. The leg is more in natural shape again. It's unbelievable.
Right. If you're a senior citizen, so to speak, and you have deformity of your knee with a lot of pain, a lot of knee replacements being done today, and results are generally good. They're not perfect, but I'd say 90% of the people get a very good result and are very happy with it.
So you're good at diagnosing the problem and coming up with solutions, and that's good for a mayor. And I'll tell you what, one of the reasons I'm happy, Doc, that you're running is I really want to see representation throughout Bay County in the municipalities that consider the people, their constituents, rather than the big contractors and the big developers. And I know that's a big deal for you.
Yes, that's a huge deal for me. We can sort of go off and look at the marina a little bit. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but the St. Joe Company has been given a 60-year lease. 60 years. Most of us aren't going to be alive in 60 years. So they've been given a 60-year lease to take control of the marina. And to me, that's outrageous. And when you tell people that, they don't believe it. But I'll tell you, it's true. It's discouraging. I think we can still work with them to a certain extent, but we need somebody in there that will stand up to them and not just be a yes person to them like we have right now.
Now, tell us what you mean by 60-year lease. Who owns the marina? Is it the city itself? They leased it for 60 years. My God, I grew up hearing about the Soviet Union. The central planning was a big problem, right? And as Americans, we knew that central planning with authoritarian top to bottom, it doesn't work. And even Stalin was humble enough to have a 5-year plan, Doc. These guys have a 60-year plan. Are you kidding me? And what is it going to look like? What does it mean exactly?
Well, they've took the marina is 24 acres, and they use the hotel and the restaurant that they've built down there, and that's on 6 acres. So we got 18 other acres down there. And if you read the contract, it looks like, I think the city still owns it, but it looks like St. Joe tells the city what they're going to do. And that's discouraging, because I think the city could do some things. There's a fuel depot down there that used to be capable. Before the hurricane, it generated $600,000 in revenue. That was $600,000 in profit every year. That's gone. And I'd really hate to see the St. Joe company take that over. I think we, the people of Panama City, we deserve to use our land down there. It has value, and that value needs to come back to the citizens of Panama City. And I feel that the citizens are being ignored in respect like that.
And the boat ramp, is that closed now? I mean, what is that going to mean to generations of boaters and fishermen?
Well, the Panama City has a lot of it has a lot of waterfront, but it doesn't have very much water access. And it's a little hard to tell exactly what the city wants to do, but they've really said they want to close the boat ramp. I've been arguing with them on this election now. They've kind of been waffling a little bit, and I think they're listening to the people, and the people are saying, we want that boat ramp to stay. So what they really want to do, ultimately, they want to tear down the Civic Center, and they want to take the boat ramp and make that part of the Civic Center. And to tear down the Civic Center now, they're talking about the possibility of $170 million performing arts center. And they say that the Performing Arts Center is going to make money, but that our old Civic Center didn't make money. And our old Civic Center was pretty much paid for, from what I understand. It certainly was a lot cheaper than $170 million. So it just doesn't make sense that we want to build something that's a lot more expensive, and we take a huge risk that it's not going to be profitable.
And you're saying $170 million. My understanding is that there was an opportunity to repair the Civic Center for like $12 million, $11 million. You're saying $170 million. I heard a year ago or so, maybe not quite that long, a news report, WMBB or WJHG, talking about $178 million. And if this goes the way the Outfall project goes, it starts off at 21 million, and within months it's 30 million, and it just goes up and up. I'll bet you a coffee that it'll end up over $200 million.
I would bet at least a steak dinner. It'll be
Okay.
it will be way over 200 million if they do this. The worst thing about it is, when FEMA looked at the Civic Center, they said for $12 million we can fix it. Panama City's insurance company looked at it and said $12 million and we can fix it. The city commission said, no, we want a new one for $35 million. So they sued FEMA and they lost. And so all that money's gone. I understand, though, that there have been some contractors that have looked at it, and they think that it could be rebuilt for about $35 million. So if you take the $35 million to rebuild plus the $12 million that we lost, that means our present commission and mayor, they've cost us about $50 million. That's a lot of bread.
Yeah, but it's not theirs. And that's
you got that right. It's not theirs.
That's the way it works. And you've talked about this a lot. How much more expensive it is to live in Panama City with the new assessments, which are taxes by another name. It's just taxes that has only one place they can spend it, right? They say it's not taxes, but it feels a hell of a lot like taxes to you, because it's still going to come out of your pocket. Talk to us a little bit about the assessments and how, in a time where people are, inflation is rising, we're having economic trouble throughout America, and Bay County is no exception, but they're still living large. Government's still taking.
Right. Yes, that's very much so. They passed this fire tax, and the budget on the fire tax before it was passed was $10 million. The budget after it was passed is $10 million, but the fire tax brings in $4 to $5 million. So what they've done is they've just added a $4 to $5 million tax on everybody, and they've just added it to the rolls. So they're spending it. What they've done is they've just increased the amount of revenue they brought in.
Yeah.
they're tearing up Harrison Avenue for 2 blocks. They're putting in 2 blocks of pavers and culverts and sewers, and that's costing something like $6 or $7 million. And we really don't need to tear up a road and put pavers down. It doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, they've got they've got a Cadillac appetite, but we've got we've got Volkswagen pay structure.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. It's depressing, really. And I tell people all the time, Doc, whether it's Bay County or in the nation, dollars, America will be better. Bay County will be better. Panama City will be better when dollars are spent by the people, right? When dollars are earned rather than awarded by politicians. And that $4 million or whatever it is that the city brings in, you'll see a newspaper headline, Doc, that says revenue up $4 million. And I'm always yelling at the paper, whose revenue? Whose revenue? My headline would be, the people's revenue is down $4 million.
Excellent point. Yeah, excellent point. These people, when you get a big body together, there's a tendency to spend money because they think it comes from a whole bunch of people. Yeah. So everybody only has to put in a little bit. But when you add it all up, it's a lot of money, and it's coming from people. Some people that can't afford it. There were people that paid no taxes before because they had a home that was less than the $50,000 value that you got for what was that? The $50,000 homestead exemption. So if the house was less than homestead exemption, they didn't pay any tax. Now this fire tax has got them, and they're having to pay taxes. These are old people that couldn't afford things, and their house wasn't worth very much.
It's unbelievable. I want to show you Doc Rohan's website. On the website, I mean, it's great. You'll see videos of Doc. It'll talk about his platform, the various issues he wants to focus on. But remember, early voting started today, and I've been talking a lot about Lynn Haven. And I want to share with you a couple of paid campaign ads of people I really believe in. And if you want to make a difference, if you live in Lynn Haven, these are the folks that I hope you get out there and vote, bring your family, and talk about really getting representation for the people and not the big developers and contractors and the rest of it.
Judy Tinder is running for mayor of Lynn Haven. The people deserve a strong police department, a well-funded police department whose focus is to serve and protect the people equally under the law. That requires new leadership that appreciates its good officers and holds the bad apples accountable. For a strong and better police department, vote for Judy Tinder on or before April 18th. Brian Gray is running for Lynn Haven City Commission Seat 1. He wants to reform code enforcement so that everyone is treated equally for once. He rejects adopting the International Property Maintenance Code. Don't turn the city into a giant HOA. Vote for Gray on or before April 18th.
All right, Doc Rohan for mayor is with us. Let's take a look at his website. And it's really great. If you want to take a look at the issues that he is focused on, I'm going to scroll down, Doc, and let you talk us through this. There's your history, and I know that lady you've been married to for so long.
Yeah,
Thelma Rohan. I know her. Hi, Thelma.
That's correct. Thelma and I have been married over 50 years. Let's see, we're 53 years this year, and she's been very active in the conservative circles around here. We've both won a few races and lost a few races, but we enjoy politics, and we're trying to make it better for all the people. I think people need to understand that. We have no hidden agenda. We don't have any lobbyists behind us. We don't have any of the big law firms here in town. We don't have any of the architects that design study after study for our city and just keep costing us more and more money, and then they get put on the shelf and just go completely away. So we want something better for the city. We want our kids and our grandkids to be able to enjoy the city, to be able to go down and sit on the dock, smell the fresh air down there, watch the dolphin play, listen to the seabirds. All these are kind of things that we all in Panama City, we ought to be able to do it for free. We shouldn't have to pay for that.
Amen. Let's talk a little bit about your platform here. I think we just talked about taxes and inflation, unnecessary expenditures. And we hit on that too with especially the Civic Center.
Right. The Civic Center, they just recently spent something like $80,000 doing an underground radar study to see what was underneath the Civic Center. They don't know whether they're going to tear it down or whether they're going to sell it or whether they're going to rebuild it. but by gosh, they got $80,000. They're scratching around underneath it to find out what's underneath, and total unnecessary.
I really want to talk about the infrastructure issues, Doc. I can't tell you how many people say, Bernie, have you seen all of the fecal matter, all the pollution every time it rains that just pollutes and is just ruining our waterways? Let's talk a little bit about why that's being ignored.
You know, they like to say that the hurricane caused all this problems with the infrastructure, but that's not true. They've been talking about infrastructure for, I would say, since the 80s at least, and I think it's just been totally ignored. We've had some mayors in the past that have been in office for like 20 years and 15 years. And these people, you know, they were doing what they thought was a good job, but they pushed infrastructure off to the back. And now we have serious problems, and we need a plan. We don't need to rebuild every one of the sewers in town. They would like you to believe that we have to redo them all, but there's ways of finding out where the problems are and fixing those. We just had a sewer leak in front of the yacht club for 3 weeks down there. And my understanding is that it cost the city something like $500,000 in pump trucks to keep the place pumped up, to keep a lot of it from going into the bay. Some went into the bay anyway, but at the same time, the city was good about getting most of it from going into the bay. But this is a pump station that has failed multiple times in the past. It's right in front of the yacht club. Smells all the time when you go by there. Yeah. This could have been fixed a long, long time ago. And instead, we spent $500,000 just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Here's what I believe. I know that it's not a priority. What their priority is the next big spending project. And I'm going to say this. I know people are going to get mad, but I'm going to say it anyway. My belief is too many elected officials throughout Bay County are looking at the next big project so that they can award their friends a big contract. And the kickbacks and land deals are beautiful. But I'll tell you what else. Oftentimes, the things they ought to be prioritizing spending on and fixing that the people need fixed, like what you're describing, Doc, it's put on the back burner. And here's what I've learned. Sometimes Panama City Beach did this with a flooding issue. Sometimes they ignore the problem. They let it get worse so they can check a box for a grant that they're waiting to get.
Right. Yes.
They don't fix it now, because if they do, they won't be eligible for the big grant.
Right. They won't get the grant.
It's disgusting.
And you hit on it exactly. They award contracts to builders, and then the builders actually, a lot of time, contractors, they'll bid a little bit on the low side, but then they start adding add-ons, and they'll start the project. Oh, well, something else happened here. We weren't expecting it. We're going to need another 10%. A couple of weeks, a month later, same thing.
They call them change orders.
Yeah, change order. Over and
when
over.
When they say change orders, grab your wallet.
Right, change order. They keep them coming. And nobody seems to worry about them. And they rotate the contractors back and forth among their buddies.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I see what I consider cover bids. You'll have these contractors who get all the deals, maybe 2 or 3 of them, because of local preference and all, you know. And right. One contractor will get the deal. The next one doesn't get the deal, but I sometimes suspect they never really wanted it. If they do what's called a cover bid, they'll bid high. Bid high, so their buddy contractor can bid just a little bit low, and it's a big deal. It's an inflated cost.
Right.
I see that happening all the time.
We had one in front of City Hall a couple of years ago where nobody got to the bid, and whatever the city had decided they were going to pay, nobody reached that one. So one of the contractors came to the meeting and said, well, what can I do to get my bid down a little bit low so you'll take it? And, this was right out in the middle of the open here. Wow. So, yeah, we've got to clean that up. And we've got the bids, it has to be sealed bids. They need to let people from out of town come in and bid on these things. Right now, they've kind of locked it up so they'll only take bids from the city. And actually, there's an interesting story. The Cove, there's a sign going, or let's see, it's a sign going into the Cove. They spent something like $80,000 on that. I have a contractor friend. He said he could have built it for $5,000. When I went before the city commission, I said, "You all spent $80,000 on that." And one of the commissioners told me, "Well, we only got one bid. And, when you get one bid, if you had one bid on your house, you would not be satisfied. You'd put it down, you submit it for bids again. You'd start the process all over again. One bid, $80,000 for." It was the signage to the entrance to the cove, and it's not that impressive, really.
I I believe that's the one that Commissioner Tommy Ham did,
That's
and he was
yes,
awarded it when he was a candidate.
that's right. I like Tommy Ham, but he was a commissioner candidate, and he was awarded the contract. Actually, to his credit, he was the only one that bid on the thing. But why you wouldn't go out and get more bids? It's crazy. And we
I mean,
wouldn't do
that
in our house.
that is the best example to say, look, it's not their money.
Right.
Milton Friedman talked about these incentives a lot, natural incentives. There's no incentive to control cost or quality when it's other people's money going to other people.
Right.
And for votes. I mean, that's a triple
Yes,
whammy.
for votes, exactly.
All right. I want to thank a few sponsors real quick, and then we'll come right back to you.
Have you received a speeding ticket for which you want no points placed onto your driving record? I'm El Saline, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
So, Doc, let's say you're elected April 18th in 8 days. Tuesday's over. You and Thelma are celebrating. I'm getting a little vitamin C, Doc. 94 proof.
All right, same here.
Only time I get any vitamin C. I'll be celebrating. You go show up. You've got the gavel. Panama City Mayor Rohan. What are your priorities? How do things change? What looks different with you with the gavel at the meetings?
Well, the first thing that I'm going to tell people is that we've got to tighten our belts. We've been spending way too much money, so that's got to end. So I want to tighten the belt of the city. I want to look at all the departments. They're probably going to, I would tell all the departments, we're going to have to cut 5-10%, figure out how much money we need to save and tell each department that's what they're going to cut. And I'm also going to spend a little money, though. The marina is totally fenced off. It's going to cost about $300,000 to put a fence around the marina. The first thing I'm going to do in that regard, I'm going to have bids. We're going to solicit bids to put a fence around the marina so we can open it up to everybody. So we open the marina and we cut spending. We've got to stop the spending. I think Harrison Avenue is a good example. We're at a spot right now where I believe we could stop, or else we could quit putting pavers down. If we've got to dig up the road and put a new sewer in and it's necessary, that's understandable. But at the same time, we don't need to cover the road with pavers and all kinds of different niceties, things that look nice but cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Panama City is a unique town, but it's unique because we have like 1950s architecture there. We need to stick with 1950s architecture.
Absolutely.
We don't need to try to make it look like a quaint old town in the South or a quaint old town in New England. It is Panama City.
Or another St. Joe, what do they call it? Resort.
Right. Or another
Actually.
resort. It's a fishing town. It's a fishing and boating town. And that's the kind of a
the legacy and the legacy and the charm is important. It's your identity. And right now they're giving away your identity to a big developer that has taken control of the city, just like the writers of the book, The Green Empire, when in 2003, two ladies wrote a book called The Green Empire. You should read it. And in it, the St. Joe Company executive, Mr. Ray, I believe is his name, said, look, we're going to give the cities a chance to lead, but if they don't lead, we're going to take control. And that's where we find ourselves, Doc.
Very well said. I feel strongly that we can do it. That's an economic engine downtown. There's a lot of things in Panama City that need fixing, but I believe in the human resiliency of the human spirit, and I believe that we can do it. And with your help, if you'll vote for me, I will certainly work in that direction.
Doc, what's the story about the City Hall?
City Hall.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's talk about the City Hall and how much it cost. And there were a lot of questions about that. And I've heard them, but I've forgotten the details, but it wasn't pretty.
No, the City Hall was a boondoggle for us taxpayers in particular. Originally, it was scheduled to cost $8 million. by the time they did everything that needed to be done that they wanted to have fixed up for them, the note on it at the bank now is $20 million. But what they did is they paid $5 million. The land was assessed at $2.5 million. They paid $5.5 million. So right out of the box, they paid twice as much money as they needed to pay down there. Then they hired a firm to do an examination of the building to find out, like it's a pre-construction sort of thing, to find out what sort of things needed to be fixed so that the contractors could fix these things. They paid something like $75,000 or $80,000 for this pre-examination, and that the whole papers on what is supposed to be done, the report has vanished. The city paid for the report. There is no report. So the city couldn't do anything to fix anything. As a result, when they got the contractors in there, they started having cost overruns. They started having all kinds of problems that they weren't expecting. And besides that, the city government, or the city, the city staff recommended a building firm in Pensacola named Greenhut. They recommended Greenhut be the builder. Well, the city overruled them and chose GAC. Now, GAC is a contractor that was in big trouble up there in Lynn Haven, and actually they have gone bankrupt now, so they're not even around. And this is who the city chose.
Well, in 2021, a judge awarded a search warrant when the FBI told a judge that Bay County, talking about all the cities, Panama City, but specifically mentioned was GAC contractors. By the way, in this specifically not mentioned was Mayor Margo Anderson. A year after they indicted her, they were talking about other people. Doc, they told a judge that Bay County is more corrupt than New Jersey and New Orleans. And they were talking about these very kinds of things. And you're telling me that the study that they paid for,
yes,
a public record is gone?
Right. Public
That's illegal.
It's gone. It's gone. So they couldn't follow it. They had air conditioning problems that they should have known about, but since nobody inspected it, they had to put new air conditioners in. They weren't sure whether the walls were sealed, so they pulled all the bricks off, resealed the walls, and then put the bricks back on. They would have known all that if they had looked at this pre-purchase examination, so to speak. But the company's gone. No record from the company, but the company got paid. And like you said, this it was one of those companies from out of town that cleans things up. And they said this was a more corrupt situation than New Jersey or New Orleans. And
it was Crowder Golf. Crowder Golf told the FBI. There were two big companies that came in after the hurricane. Crowder Golf was one of them. Crowder Golf was the company that was not giving kickbacks, that was trying to do it honestly. All right. And Crowder Golf told the FBI that they hadn't seen anything like Bay County, more corrupt than New Jersey and New Orleans. So the FBI took that as evidence, put it in the search warrant affidavit, and told the judge that got a contract. And they took boxes and boxes and boxes from GAC contractors and didn't do anything with it. The sheriff's office and the FBI have boxes. I watched them tell Judge Walker. And Judge Walker said, it's been a year and a half. I didn't realize that you put corruption in boxes. Sometimes I talk to the FBI. Doc, let me do this real quick. FBI, will you please take a look at the vanished study that Panama City did, at how much they spent, who got these kickbacks? I know you guys know this stuff. Will you please get focused on this? We need you. Oh boy, you got me fired up tonight.
I agree completely. That's it's on the internet. You can look these articles up. A lot of it's already on there, and so it's embarrassing that much corruption. That we have that much corruption right here in our little old town.
I mean, we want to be first, but not
right.
everything.
Yeah, right. We want to be first for the people. Right. First for the value of the people, for people getting to do things and enjoy life. And not pay off a bunch of lawyers and a bunch of contractors.
Yeah,
they already make enough money. They're well paid.
And then I've written a public record request, City Hall. I'm going to make a public record request. I want that study, and I want to get it back that there is no study, because I'm tracking this down. I'm going to ask some of you about this. that can explain this to me, because this is unbelievable. Well, Doc, what would you tell folks? Early voting has started. Where can they go vote? Why should they vote for you? And I'm going to continue to play your campaign ad that you purchased here all the way through the rest of this next 10 days. But let everybody know.
Well, Bernie, I appreciate your help. You have a great reach, and you're a smart guy. So you know, people understand, people know that you want the right thing also. I mean, we're both here. We're looking for the right thing. My understanding, I believe, is City Hall is where you have to vote. That's early voting is for sure all week long, and it's at City Hall. And the voting on the 18th on Tuesday is also going to be at City Hall. I don't believe that to vote for the mayor that you can vote anywhere else, but I'm not positive about that. I do know that City Hall is definitely a place to vote. We don't vote at Mark Anderson's anymore. For some reason, he's put it down on City Hall. But I can promise you that if you keep things the way they are, nothing's going to change. But if you are willing to take a chance and vote for somebody that's going to look out for the people, who's going to do the right thing. I don't have any agenda. I just want to do the right thing for everybody in town. And I will I'm not going to make Panama City necessarily the best. I'm going to make Panama City an affordable place for everybody.
It sounds terrific, Doc. I wish you the best. Doc Rohan for Mayor of Panama City. This week, I'm going to be talking to candidates. Tomorrow, we've got Brian Gray scheduled, Lynn Haven candidate, 4-time combat veteran, 4-tour combat veteran, and he's got 3 master's degrees. He's spent more time in the halls of academia than I did, this guy, Brian Gray. And he is against turning the city into an HOA. Vote for Gray. He'll be with us tomorrow, and Wednesday, Judy Tinder will be with us. I hope that you'll join us for all of these and let everybody know, because we have a chance between now and April 18th to really make a difference. And I hope that we do. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you tomorrow.